Alright, man. What's good, YouTube? What's good? What's good? What's good? We back, man. It's your boy Chosen, and we back, man. Today we got something a little bit different for y'all. Um, yeah, I don't really know where to go with this. I'll start by saying this. Um, damn. How do I don't know. God just talk. So basically, like on my channel, whatever I react to, most of the times it's stuff that I would usually watch on my own, or I feel like y'all would like to watch. But also with my channel, when I made this channel, I wanted to make content that was also like not just entertaining, but informative in the way where like it's good info that we all need to hear, like especially with stuff pertaining to God in certain sense. Like I didn't want to make my channel like fully surrounded around that, but I wanted to like input that in certain ways where it's like, cause there's God and I feel like the devil in every situation. There's good and there's bad in every situation. So I just wanted to like kind of highlight that in certain situations where in everyday life we could realize some of the bad things we're doing or some of the good things we're doing that may involve the devil or God or whatever, right? I hope y'all get what I'm trying to say. But basically that's what this video kind of is going towards today. So I never heard of this guy before. His name is Craige Lewis. I never heard of him before. Exposes hip hop. As many of you know that subscribe to my channel, whatever, I do music, you feel me? Now, last night I was with my dogs, right? We was talking about something, and it was so funny because he ended up saying something like, "Oh, what about you with the music? Like, when the last time you dropped? You talking about him, but you didn't even." And it's funny because like, it's reasons why I haven't been doing music where it's like financial. Obviously, like I'm trying to get that ready, but honestly, I feel like a big part of the reason why I haven't been on my music stuff is because like the battle that I'm having spiritually that I don't talk about on the everyday with everybody because it's not everybody for everybody to know, you know what I'm saying, or everybody to talk about. But the battles that I have spiritually, where it's like every time I start doing music, I kind of feel contradicted because I don't want to make a certain type of music. Like I gave my life to God about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I haven't been perfect since. I definitely messed up, sinned a lot, whatever, made mistakes. But I never lost sight of God. You feel me? I would say I might have like fell back in certain areas a little bit, but I never lost sight of God. I stayed prayed up, everything, you know. But it's still that contradiction where it's like I kind of see my old habits and my old lifestyle start to creep back in, and the more I do music, it's like I'm damn near like right back in the same spot, making that same type of music in a way because that's what's natural. Or so, you know, it's just so funny because we're watching this and it's like it's honestly it's going to teach us a lot of things, and we're going to need to hear a lot of things that we might not know. And yeah, so that's just kind of what this is about. So obviously this guy is going to be exposing hip hop, and not just hip hop, a lot of demonic stuff that's going on in the industry, and a lot of stuff that people have been talking about but it's coming to light nowadays, and it's really in front of your face because I really do believe all the stuff that I've been seeing nowadays and learning. Yeah, they say it's the end times. If there's a time to believe it, I feel like it's now. So without further ado, man, I hope everybody good out there, man. Everybody blessed, whatever the situation is. I hope you're going to get through it. And yeah, man, I hope we can all learn from this, man. Let's lock in, man. Let's go.
Gotta watch this. I was like, what is this? Then we put in a DVD player with the whole family. Everybody shook. Everybody was shook. My parents are Nigerian. Everybody. They said, you hear this? I told you about that hip hop. Everybody was shook. And the things that you were bringing to the surface, I was just like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. 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 So let's start there. How did this all happen? I mean, why music and why
anything he say, y'all try to listen with an open heart.
Oh, let's take the second part first. Why me? When I was younger, I was a why guy. Just the why guy. Like I got whoopings and punishment and everything because I wouldn't settle for a statement without knowing the why.
Mm.
And, back then, parents, you don't ask why.
Yes.
Because I said so. That's the answer. But I would dare to want to know, why? Like, why? And I remember riding in a car one time and BB and CC was playing. And I say names and stuff.
Yeah, it's all good.
Just in case you didn't know. But we were riding and I had just had a lesson in school about pronouns. And pronouns were they, we, yes. Of course they've perverted it now, but I was listening and I asked my dad, I said, why are they using pronouns? And he said, what? I said, why they using pronouns? Like, why they saying him and he and we, and we, and won't they say Jesus? Won't they say God? Won't they say who he is? Said if you use pronouns, then it's obscure. We don't know. Well, I didn't say obscure. I mean, that's smart.
Yeah.
But I said we don't know who they're talking about. Oh, wow. And that was like a paradigm shifting moment for me. Because I guess somehow I prayed that night or a few nights later or whatever. And that's when I felt ministry deposit. Mm. And so ever since then, like asking why and why this, why that, it's just been a part of who I am. And it was God preparing me for what I had to do. I'm going to be the why guy till he comes. I'm going to always want to know why we do what we do, why a person does what they do, all of those things. And so I believe God chose me because my personality is wired that way.
Gotcha.
Okay. So he knew, as much as I love music now, I was a musician.
Okay.
Record deals. I was a great producer. I'm not trying to, toot my own horn, but I was pretty good.
Okay.
And had record
That's
deals,
funny, y'all.
songs and different things. Industry people constantly wooing me and those kinds of things. Work with some of the, super famous people now.
Okay.
But I thought that would be what I would do, but God said no. And I watched all my friends get in the industry, get rich, get famous, all of that out of our little circle right in Fort Worth, Texas. And I had to lay back.
Okay.
Because he said he had something else for me. So God would make me turn down record deals, and we would get right there, like trip to Nashville. We would get calls and I had contracts and everything. And I would get right there. And then I would say, God, should I do this? And God would just say no. Then I would fleece it. Like, give me a perfect example. I was on the phone with a radio exec from the largest gospel record company at the time. Now, this is gospel. And I was on the phone with him. And I was, my son was an infant. He may have been 3-4 months old. And he was asleep on the couch. And I was on the phone. And this guy was like, G. Craige, man, we really want to sign you and your whole production company. Like, we want to bring you in. We want to make you, the face of gospel, the guy. And I wanted to. Like I was in a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 kids. Yeah. I had my bed, me and my wife's bed, and then we had a bed for my daughter and a baby bed in front of us. Like, we were in like this tiny little spot, no money, no running good car, that kind of thing. And so I'm looking around and I'm like, man, I need to take this deal. I just said, I didn't want to even ask God. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I know what God would probably say, because he's told me no on everything else. But I don't want to live without him. I don't want to live outside of him. So I said, Lord, do you want, should I do this? God said, no, you already know. No, spoken, no. Maybe this is not God. Maybe that's the devil talking. So let me.
God ain't a hater like that.
Please, I said, God, I need you to do something.
Yeah.
That will get my attention, and I know that I need to hang this phone up. Wow.
Just be patient, y'all. He about to start spitting, bro. He about to start.
My son, Landon, had just fallen off the couch and was on the ground just screaming.
Crazy.
And I said, man, I was on the phone with the guy. I said, man, I got to let you go. And I let him go, and my son was okay, fine. It was just God nudged him off so that, would get my attention. So I knew then.
My God.
And so that was the end of that. I stopped trying to fight it. I said, God, obviously you have something for me. God said, I have something for you, but you're too far away from me to get it. And so I began to wake up at 3 a.m. every
that's
morning.
Deep. When I heard him say
seek
that,
the Lord's face, just finding out what he had for me.
I have something for you, but
and
you're
God
too far
spoke the EX Ministries
for me to get
message to me. Ended up having a vision.
Kinda
God began to show
the
me,
other day, y'all.
what heavy metal music was doing at the time.
God bless you
This
too
is
quick. You
probably
leave him in the past.
88, 89, some on heavy metal, they biting the bats' heads off, drinking blood, urine, all that stuff in the concerts. Basically just devil worshiping, drawing the pentagrams on them, the skulls, wearing the evil stuff, wild hair, craziness, piercing themselves all up, tatting themselves everywhere. All of those things God showed me began to show me that that's what they were doing. He said, this is the enemy manifesting in a generation. This is the enemy showing his presence. This is what demons do. When they get in you, they outwardly express themselves by the things we do to ourselves. And so the demon, he began to show me that. And then he said, but it's coming for the African-American kids. They're going to become devil worshipers. And I was like, Lord, because we, black people, I'll be real, back in my day, we were scared of the devil. Now, we would sin some sins.
Yeah.
But we didn't think the devil was a part. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's almost like you would try to distance yourself from it. I remember we get a satanic Bible and rip it up and then jump in the car and smoke and drink and cuss. But we didn't never
doing all type of stuff that
the devil ain't
part
gonna
of
get
the
the
devil.
glory for
We
my
got knowingly
not on purpose.
Right.
Nah.
Even though he
Facts,
is, we're
facts.
not gonna get the credit.
Right.
Because we didn't want to ever get too far
Facts.
away from God.
That's it.
We had these Christian backgrounds.
Yeah.
Back then we had a Christian foundation somewhere.
Yep.
And so we didn't want that, but God began to show me
People
that a
still do
generation
nowadays.
was going to raise up
Don't
because
sleep.
of fatherlessness, because their fathers were imprisoned. They were going to begin to express themselves, because you don't have to know your father for that to be what your father's sins to be passed on to you. You don't even have to know it.
That's true.
And he didn't have to be
That's
around.
another thing he said that was crazy.
The
Watch
best
this.
example I have for that was, am I, can I just go?
Come on.
Okay.
Be free.
So I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I did the Truth Behind Hip Hop at a church. And so we were having an altar call, and I remember a lady came up, and she was, she might have been Nigerian. No. She was Zairian.
Okay.
From Zaire. But she came up and she said, I want you to pray for my son. I said, okay. And I looked at him, and immediately the Holy Spirit said, ask where his father is. So I said, well, where's his father? She said, his father's back home in their tribe. Yeah. I forgot which one it was, Tutsi or Hitu, one of those. But he's in his tribe. She said, but he's possessed by his father's spirit. I said, what do you mean? What? She said, when his father dances, tribal dances, he uncontrollably dances. So whenever his father over there, it could be any time his father dances,
Yeah, that's
he
crazy,
dances.
dog.
Really?
And then he started moving like this. And she said, he's about to do it. And the boy just started dancing. Yeah.
That's
and so
crazy.
I ended up with
I
the
would've
power of God
scared
casting that spirit out.
the
But that's when
hell out
I
of me.
realized the connection that a boy has with his father. It's beyond what we know. It's not, it's not just you give birth to something, but you actually give more than that. You give, you give of yourself to that boy. So whether you're around or not, he's going to be influenced by you. And that's what ended up happening with prison. Guys
That's
went
crazy,
to prison.
though.
And so when their fathers were in prison, they began to express themselves like their father.
crazy.
So they wore the do-rags in the streets, because in prison, the do-rag represented the hair, that's women's hair. That's the closest you're going to get to women in prison.
I never knew
Then
that.
they walk around shirtless,
That's
tat
crazy.
themselves all up, sag their pants, show their underwear, all of these different things that were happening with the hip hop subculture, God began to tell me that it would become the norm. It would become the norm. And so, that vision, God began to just kind of nourish that vision. This is after 3 years of me seeking him. He began to show it to me, and then I spoke the message. I remember on Halloween, I spoke the message. I had some magazines and I had some CDs, and I began to show people, the Bone Thugs and Harmony, which had the Mr. Ouija backwards message, which they just came out and talked about. I don't know if you've seen the video.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah. I think it was Busy Bone came out talking about the Mr. Ouija and all of the stuff, just confirming everything from way back then. But I was showing people how you hold it up to the mirror and read it, and you speak into your own soul. That's what it was. It was written backwards. Wow. And you hold it up to the mirror, and it was a confession that you speak. And kids were speaking it. And so by kids doing that and kids, buying into this culture and this idea, they opened up our community to that spirit. Wow. And so now when you see young black men, they look totally different now. But God showed me that way back then. We're talking in the 80s. People thought I was crazy. No way. Black folks ain't gonna worship the devil. No way. They're not gonna get the pentagram and the Baphomet and throwing up the signs, and no way. They're not going to, grow their hair out long and the locks and stuff, and, the earrings and tatted up and stuff. That people, because nobody could see it, it just did not exist.
Everything
so
I got.
I was crazy. But God trusted me with that information to the point. There was no social media back then.
Nope.
But he took me all over the world. All over the world.
So we were in our bubble, so we don't know how big X Ministries got and the message got. You were traveling
all over the world. It was the biggest black message at the time. Like, I couldn't go into a town without seeing a magazine or something on the shelf with my picture on it. Like, it was like that. Oprah Winfrey and Russell Simmons and Steve Harvey and Tavis Smiley, all those guys called me for interviews. Like, it was that big. I turned them all down because God didn't want me. The message was for the church.
Right.
I'm not going on Oprah's show and talking about truth behind hip hop.
Right.
Talking about the truth behind Oprah. Right. So it was never about, it was never about me going out and just trying to get famous. It was always about the church being warned, because when the spirit comes in, it's going to affect the church. It's going to it's going to be birthed in the kids in the church, the youth. And then those youth are going to grow up and become pastors. And they're going to be expressing the hip hop culture from the pulpit.
Oh my gosh.
And then you have, total debauchery. And so that was God's warning. He was warning the church what was coming.
You're saying a few things, and I don't want to jump all around, but you talked about hip hop culture, and there was, in the messages you were talking about, it's not just the music, but everything, from the dress, the things, the language, and all of that. When you go back, when you look at the origins of hip hop, some would say, but there was a time though that hip hop culture wasn't what it is now. Like, was hip hop corrupted, or was hip hop always on its way towards corruption? Like, was it good at the foundations? Meaning, if we were to go back to where hip hop was at its inception, would it then be something that could be acceptable?
Not at all. Hip hop was corrupt in its creation because the creators and founders of it were corrupt. So African Bambaataa went to Africa and he learned the ways of the Zulus. The Zulus are into ancestral worship. He brought those spirits back and began to make raps and beats about how those spirits, how powerful they were. That's what Planet Rock is about. Planet Rock, don't stop, rock the Planet Rock. That's basically false god worship rock, because the planets into the Zulu, from the beginning, it's been corrupt. When I
don't
was
even know
trying to
about none of
explain
this.
it, people was
I'm
like,
way
"Oh,
too
no, it's
young.
just
I
beats."
never.
No, it's not beats. If you know anything about frequency, you know that it's never just beats. It's never just music. Music carries the heart of the author that created it. And the best
Nah,
example of
facts,
that is in the Bible. King David, when Saul was troubled by the evil spirit, David just played. He didn't have to sing. He played, but because of his heart and his disposition, the spirit came and soothed the evil spirit and chased it away. That's because of who David was, a man after God's own heart. It's different when he plays versus, they didn't just go looking for anyone to play. It had to be someone with the right spirit. And if you know anything about frequencies, especially mastering houses and different things, they're able to put things in music to give music, flight, so that this particular music is meant to change a person in this way or that way. I'm gonna tell you something. Now, this is
I done heard that
tripped
about
out
frequencies
story.
on how they do that.
I was speaking in Topeka, Kansas, and Topeka, Kansas
Do your
is
research on
considered
mind
the
control.
center of the United States. So I'm doing the truth behind hip hop. And as I'm talking, there's a guy in the audience mouthing all of my words with me. It was weird. He's mouthing what I'm saying while I'm talking. And I'm just looking at him so I'm like, God, what is this? Do I need to stop the message and deal with this? And God said, no, just keep going. So I kept going. But every time I looked over at him, it's almost like he knew what I was about to say, or right after I said it, he mouthed it.
Uh-huh.
Probably looked worse to me than what it really was.
That's-
I'm up, you up speaking, you'll know hey, do I need to deal with this or what?
Yeah.
And so after I finished, I did an altar call. He was the first person. He popped up, he jumped up, he ran up there, stood up there. He said, hey man, let me tell you. He said, I work for Africa Bambaataa. He said, I'm a part of the Zulu nation. He said, I moved here to Topeka, Kansas because this is the center of the United States. So the music I play here reverberates throughout the whole United States. He said, I'm positioned here. He said, I got records. He said, I got a record if you want to get a job, you could play this record. He said, I got a record if you're sick in your body, you can play these records. All of these frequencies are set in a way where they can do various things to a person. I was like, what in the world? So he went and got all those records, crates and crates, probably 1,000 records. Crates filled the whole stage. Prayed with him, cast the devil out, believe God with him, all of that. We leave the church, and the pastor said, no, leave all the records. Just leave everything here for the, we'll deal with it later. And then we were out eating somewhere, and the pastor said, man, we might need to go check the church. We went back to that church. All those records was gone. No sign of break-in, the law, nothing was triggered, nothing. All those records were gone.
What do you think happened?
I think Satan took them back.
There was no entry. It was locked.
It was locked. It's locked. My wife, she's here. She was there. We couldn't figure out what happened. It's just a mystery.
And it was crates.
So many records, it would fill this room.
Nah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, they filled this room up. And they were all gone.
That's crazy.
But that's how serious. So I said all that to answer your question.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing. We didn't know.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know the spirits that they were tapping into.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't know that they were gatekeepers. So we didn't know they were opening our youth up for what we're seeing right now. Now, what we're seeing right now is a generation that could care less about anything.
Crazy, because they know
entitled, hatred, wrath, vengeance. That's what we're seeing. And they're expressing it by the way they look. They tat themselves up. Boys grow their long hair out in rebellion. And I tell people, black folk, they do that.
It's the part that hit me. I ain't gonna lie.
God specifically gave us a design for, he gave us gender markers.
Yes.
And he said, men, nature
I never
teaches
knew
us
this
that men
before
have
today.
Short hair women have long hair as gender. That's gender markers. That's how we mark our genders. That's being totally defied now.
What do you think about the feminization of men in hip hop? Would you have imagined that today you got rappers wearing skirts and dresses and they said they hiding guns in their dresses?
No, I said that back then. I knew that back then. It's in my videos back then. Yeah, Tupac put on a top and then tied it under like halter, and then showed thug life, and then tied a bandana to the front and then pierced his nose. It's a total woman. Ain't no thug. That's a jailhouse thug that's been passed around. That was the look. Cameron in the pink, fluffy, they were defying the gender markers. Because once you confuse the genders,
oh my God,
you stop procreation, you stop marriage, and you make the youth question, their orientation.
Oh my gosh. So you now have a desensitized youth. The youth are desensitized
That's a lot of info, y'all,
to these things. And now you would ask a young kid, 90% would say, there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with that because it's in the music. I kissed a girl and I liked it. It's all in the music. So back to hip hop in this way. You were saying a lot of stuff at that time, but I think right now is when we're seeing the worst of it.
Yes.
Back then it seemed to be more implicit.
It was a warning. I had to search for stuff back then. Like I had to catch them slipping. H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy was like the most popular song when I first started doing this. And the Lord spoke to me and said, he's spelling my name, Hova. He's calling himself Jehovah God. Nobody caught it. We just H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. That's the anthem. Get them hands up. It was just, it was ingrained in the music, but because it was to a beat, folks didn't stop to pay attention to the message that was being told, being spoken. And so I started finding the Baphomet worship. I started finding the pentagrams. I started finding the things, the Def Jam stuff with Rick Rubin and those guys, all the devil worship. And then what's his name? Russell Simmons, worshiping a transcendental meditation and
New Age.
Yeah, and bringing that stuff into it. And now Beyonce bringing Yoruba and all of these things into it. So, during her concert, she was, with the Oshun,
she was thorough.
All of that. That's the Yoruba stuff. So I've been, talking about it since part 1 of The Truth Behind Hip Hop. I'm at 14 now. I have 14 parts of this message, and each one of them reveals an in-depth part of the hip hop culture, what they are doing when they do what they do. So we're not talking about something that got corrupted. We're talking about a tool. It's always been a tool. And I'm gonna talk about beats. I make beats. I make music, man. I can make some beats. It's not about beats. It's about what you attach to it or what you're using beats for.
Let me ask you this. One of the most shocking things that you were sharing was when you started to deal with Michael Jackson. That was one I've never forgotten. In fact, it was the Bone
Crazy,
Thug.
y'all.
Bone Thug.
Oh my
Jay-Z.
God. Do y'all research
Michael
on everything
Jackson,
he's saying?
that one is the one that threw me.
Do your research.
Do you look back at that and say, hey, maybe I was going too hard. Maybe I was reading into it.
Well, they used some of it, my research in his court cases, so I don't think I was going too
Really?
far. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, and it was what God revealed to me that he was doing. And not just him, but anyone who, submits to the Aleister Crowley's, teachings, because he taught musicians how to channel an old one, Nephilim, old one.
Oh, this one to get real.
That's what people don't realize. Like, if Jay-Z or somebody walks in a room, people just faint or gasp or
Yeah.
Beyonce walks in the room a whole night.
Yeah.
You know them homosexuals.
Yeah.
You know how they do them Beehive folks. They just
Facts.
and you wonder, like,
Bro, not trying to laugh.
because of music. You know, the band director plays at the school. Ain't nobody screaming for Teacher Willie that teaches the choir. You know, he got some nice music.
Yeah.
But nobody's screaming and falling out. There has to be something else. Well, there is something else. These guys are taught by Aleister Crowley and the Law of Thelema and those things that he was into, talking to a spirit called Lim. He learned how to channel spirits from the flood. And so there are, you know, through blood sacrifice, through pedophilia, through all of these things, these artists can welcome one of those old ones. Now, who are the old ones? These are the spirits from the angels that came down in Genesis 6, came down, mated with men, created beings. Those beings, God flooded the earth to destroy
what he's
them. Some
talking
of them are
about,
30
y'all.
feet tall. Now, you know, if you got a
The
30
movie
feet tall,
Sinners.
30 foot tall being, he's going to get everybody's worship. You know, and so these guys were used,
I know that message went over a lot of people's head, bro.
these Nephilim were used to getting praise and
But I'm
worship.
too
They were
tapped in.
gods, you know, like Greek
way
mythology
too tapped in.
and Roman mythology and even Yoruba mythology. These are all superhumans with superpowers, where they were half human, half angelic from another realm. Well, God drowned all of them during the flood. That's what the flood was for. That's why nobody could get in
I
the
did
Ark
not
of
know
Noah,
that.
because everyone's blood was contaminated by this that had happened. And so nobody could get on the ark but Noah and his family, right? And so those, when they lost their bodies, their spirits were hybrid. So they can't go to heaven. They can't go to hell. They roam the earth. And that's why the Bible said they roam in they look for dry places. They're roaming the earth, the creation of demons. They're not fallen angels. They're actually spirits, disembodied spirits. And so they're looking for bodies. Well, Aleister Crowley, Madame Blavatsky, those people that studied the Law of Thelema, those people that studied the mystic arts and some of the lost books of Solomon, which, you know, my part 14 of Truth Behind Hip Hop, I go in depth about Solomon. There's a lot about Solomon God showed me. Very interesting guy, to say the least. But they read his books, they get into his mysticism, and it taught them how to control spirits and welcome spirits in and become a host for them.
Oh my God.
Well, when these spirits that used to get that worship get in a person, now that person becomes polarizing. He walks in a room and everybody's like, oh, and music can't do that. A song, like if I release a song, they can't make you look at me that way. If I'm in a movie,
I used to always say that. I would never act like that when I see a famous person.
There is a spiritual side of this, because they've channeled an old one, and depending on which one it was, that's the level of, you know, a power that they're able to operate with. You know, as musicians and artists and different things. And so, yeah.
Now that leads into a very powerful conversation about idolatry and celebrity, right? So just because you're saying this is more than just music.
Yeah.
And to be honest, right now, the conversation is now spanned into the movie industry. You see this movie Sinners just came out, and it's same stuff.
Yeah, same stuff. Yoruba.
I literally was telling the girl I was messing with, I don't want...
Michael B. Jordan, you know, his mom did some ceremony on him, so he's a Yoruba priest.
Bro, what?
And then they brought in.
We have to look into that.
You know, they did this movie up.
with some
devilish stuff.
Facts.
And people don't realize when they watch things like that, you know, some people can watch it and it won't do anything.
Yep.
But some people can watch it and have an open door.
Yes.
And it changes everything for them.
So with this, how do, just as believers, as leaders, how do we avoid the trap of celebrity? You, to many, were
Don't worry, we're going to get into that when the video done, y'all. I want to let
you're
y'all...
a person that is leading. You have
Ain't
a
gonna
voice.
talk too much.
People look to you. They respected you. I did a poem about this, and I talk about idols don't create themselves. We worship them, and they receive that glory. So it's a two-way street. An individual that is in position, right? They have a responsibility, and the individuals that are giving that glory, they have a responsibility. So what would you say to believers that find themselves in the space, in the tension of, it seems like people are elevating me to a place that I'm not supposed to be?
Well, some of it can't be avoided because when you carry a mantle, people will admire that.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the keys, just for me, is making sure you're secure. I teach that all the time. Make sure you're secure in who you are. So it's not about what you do. You're a human being, not a human doing.
Ooh.
If you're a human doing, then, you're fed by, you're driven by applause. You're driven by likes and views. You're driven by subscribers and all of these things with this wicked internet social media system, which is, it's on the hourglass has been turned over.
Yes.
On this social media. Like, we have very little time on this platform we're on even right now. This is about to take a drastic turn.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that it's gonna get to the place to where AI is gonna begin to alter content.
Is this one of the things that the Lord's been showing?
Yes, sir. 100%.
I knew that. I just wanted to bring it out of you. I was like, there's something that God's been giving him about AI, but I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah. I just did a video, Error Man 5, where I talked about AI and its origin, where it's from, how it was created, and those things. But yeah, we're on the last leg of this. It's about to shift, and we're going to see a big shift. It was the devil's plan to pull everybody out of the church, put everybody online, so that COVID,
dang,
everybody, forced through the bottleneck of the internet. That was all planned. Like, why did that happen? Why were we all forced there? Why did it become so easy to be without a ministry, be without a church, be without a leader, be without authority, be without God's church that he left? Jesus left the church and the church age, and it will last until he returns. It's not gone. Now some preachers might be gone, some leaders, but it's not gone. But the devil knew, if I can suck everybody out and get everybody here and then break that, what do we have? And so, yeah, we're on borrowed time.
All right, y'all. That was a lot. Before I end the video, I do want to touch a couple points he made. One point I want to go to first is the point he made about the long hair, the tattoos, the piercings, all that, right? Now, kind of what I said in the beginning of this video, it's everyday things we do that we might not even notice the origin or know the origin or the reason of why we do things or where it came from, right? Like sagging pants. I remember I never thought it was cool to sag my pants, but a lot of niggas used to sag back in the day, right, when I was in school, whatever. People don't do this much now, but it was a known thing. They always used to tell us at church that this first lady, she used to expose a lot, now that I think about it, because she used to tell us about Illuminati, all that way back then. Like, she used to tell us how, like, sagging your pants came from jail, and they did it as, like, men, like, basically letting the other men know that they're single or available, like, to get, like, clapped up, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's the origin of that. So there's a lot of niggas in the world doing that, not even knowing that where this came from or the origin, just like the long hair or the tattoos and all that. I did not know all the stuff that bro was saying. I did not know that God, my cousin was talking to me about that the other day, because he recently just cut his hair. He was talking to me, and he was telling me how, like, he had his hair for like 8 years. He was like, yeah, bro, honestly, like, God didn't call men to have long hair. Like, in the Bible, it tells you that, like, but he didn't really tell me where. Like, dude kind of said exactly like how God said, He gave us specific rules. Men with short hair, women with long hair. The other thing I want to get into is about what he said about the Michael Jackson thing and about the teachings of learning how to the old spirits, right? That's so crazy because he said it's through pedophilia or like, bro, everybody remember when they used to say Michael Jackson used to have them kids over there? And everybody's like, oh no, you're lying, you just love kids. Why would a grown man want to invite kids to come to his house and have roller coasters, all this stuff? Bruh, stop being deceived, y'all. It's a lot of dark stuff that went down with these people. Even though their music is great, they're not great, bro. Stop being deceived, y'all. I been knew Michael Jackson was off, bro. When I was a little kid, fam, every time I seen Michael Jackson, it's like I was seeing a demon, bro. I'm talking to y'all right now, I swear to God. Every time when Michael Jackson died, bro, I used to hide under my sheet for months, bro. For months, because I was scared of that man. Like, we ain't even gonna get into all that. Maybe that just might be my fears as a kid, but I know it was a correlation. So to hear all that and the teachings and how he was try to channel these old spirits through doing these things, it was crazy to hear. Like, and I remember, let's get the last thing I want to touch on is Sinners, the movie, because it was literally showing, the movie was about that. And to hear, hold on, bro, because to hear this man say Michael B. Jordan's mom, Michael B. Jordan's mom. Bro, the man said something about Michael B. Jordan's mom. I don't remember what the thing was called. I don't want to. But he said something about how, so that's crazy why he even got the role. And like, bro, whole time, all right, I was messing with a girl at the time. We don't talk now, right? All right, we're done. Back at that time when we were dealing with each other and Sinners came out, she asked me to go see Sinners. Just based off the name, I'm a real spiritual person. Like, I wouldn't mess with a girl. Like, if a girl IG name, we was talking about this last night, me and my dogs. If her IG name, I don't want to say that girl IG name. But let's just say if the girl IG name had sin in it, right? I would not mess with her because why does your IG name have sin in it? You see what I'm saying? So, basically, this movie's called Sinners. Kind of threw me off already, but I think she kind of, I don't know. I just kind of already was seeing it go crazy on the gram, and I don't even know if I seen anything, but I told her out the gate, I was like, not gonna lie, send me the whatever this movie's about, like, or send me the trailer, because I don't watch certain movies, like, you feel me, scary movies, like, because it's like, I learned, and through me learning, these movies will try to, like, put stuff in your spirit, and these movies, it's not just movies, bro, none of these movies just movies, bro. So I told her I didn't want to watch it, like, if it was demonic, or, she's like, oh, no, it's not demonic, I promise, I watched it, the trailer, it's nothing like that, it's about music, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't know, like, basically, she was just telling me, basically, made me promise to not watch the trailer, so I didn't watch the trailer. While we get into the movie, I'm watching the movie, my spirit is too in tune, I'm already knowing what time it is. The signs, as the movie keep going on, and there was that one part in particular, first of all, as soon as I seen that black lady, I knew she was a witch. I know a witch when I see one, because I done encountered them in real life. And she probably bro, ain't that what dude just said? They got a real witch? Bro, that lady was a witch, fam. That black lady who played the witch in the movie, she's a witch in real life. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. But we not even gonna get into all that. But I remember seeing her, and before the movie made it obvious that she was a witch in the movie, I knew she was a witch. She just had dark energy, the beads, and just like the energy around her house. It just was weird, bro. And then like, the whole time throughout the movie, bro, I don't want to say my girl because she's not my girl no more, but my girl at the time was getting mad at me because I kept saying and looking at her and be like, bruh, I told you I didn't want to watch nothing like this. I told you, and it's so funny, you feel me? I ain't going to say what I really want to say, but let's just say her background, she kind of got that background. I'm not going to say she's into that stuff, but there could be people in her family that's into that type of stuff, right? Okay, cool. Just like there might be people in my family. I got that cultural background where some people in my family probably could have messed with that stuff as well. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. But it's just funny to say, y'all, like, trust your instincts, trust your gut, because you never know. And like he said, certain people can watch that movie and be okay. Certain people is opening a portal. I literally told this girl, and it's like everything that movie was so... I didn't even know about these teachings. I'm going to learn more about what he was saying about that guy, and I'm going to go back and write people's name down because I want to learn more and put out maybe some more videos for y'all. Because I just thought that was crazy. And the one part that stuck out to me was when, in the movie, when the boy was singing, the boy that was gifted, the guitar player, that kind of reminded me of the guy. If y'all ever heard of the story of the guy who never knew how to play the guitar, forgot his name, and he went somewhere, got possessed, and then he was the best guitar player ever. Never learned, bro. It's crazy when you know that it's real, fam. But that's what that little boy stood out to me. That's the first thing that came in my head. That guy, cause he was just playing the guitar, and as he's singing, first of all, bro, I done seen that same actor in other movies. Why they gave him like an old voice, that wasn't him talking. They did something to it to make him sound like an old spirit, bro. Right or wrong, y'all tell me if I'm tripping if y'all ain't hear that in the movie. Okay, right? And then as he's singing in that one part, and they start to go into these different generations, and the lady says, oh, music is so powerful. It's told the story that music could be so powerful that it could bring spirits from the past and the future. And I'm like, whoa, like, and that's the part where it hit me. I'm like, oh, that's what this movie's about. Like, it's starting to tell you something. And then, like, yeah, just a lot of stuff throughout the movie was very demonic, bro. And it's just crazy to hear. So y'all let me know if y'all want me to do a part 2 where I'll finish watching the rest of the interview or whatever. But I just felt like that was good to put out. I don't like doing videos too long. This is way longer than a regular video for me, but I think this was needed. So yeah, bro, that's a lot. That's a lot, bro. That's a lot. That's crazy. Crazy, bro. We gotta stay prayed up, y'all, man. It's Sunday. I'm about to eat. Get ready for church, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe for me. Like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, I'm sorry for the pauses and anytime I'm doing something for God, it's so funny. The devil just want to try to make it stop. When I'm recording any other type of video, it never does this. But yeah, man, y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Until next time, man, it's love, man. We out.